Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm taking a look at this right here. This is another 30-minute missions kits, and this is the Option Parts Set 11 Large Cannon Arm Unit. As usual, I got this through Hobby Link Japan, you can too, and link is down there in the description. Now let's get it built. Alright, so taking a quick look at what is inside the box, and as usual with these kind of option part sets, there's not a ridiculous amount, but this one looks particularly cool. If you want a pair of massive arms for your 30-minute missions, or even your Gunpla, which is what I'm going to try it out with today, then this might be for you. Also, this has some real GN cannon energy. Looking cool. Wait a minute, I meant GN bazooka. In here we get 4 runners of plastic, that is 2 in white. These are completely different, but there are some parts repeated across the 2. We've got a grey one then for that big old bazooka segment, and finally we do have this one in clear green. And this is literally only for that one little lens section in the center, therefore in the front of the face of one of these heads. So as usual, this is a kit that cuts out super simple and assembles really nicely. We do have all the usual 30-minute attachments, like that little slot in there, C-clip up top, C-clip down bottom, actually 2 of those, and a bunch of 3mm pegs too. So as is usual with these kits, these can be built one way or be used for a whole bunch of other, well, whatever the hell you want. You can use these as arms, legs, joints, etc. These things are absolutely 100% super modular, super simple to put together, and as usual with these kits I always say buy at least 2. Bandai usually has kind of added something into each of the boxes that you do need to. Now I say to do that and I always forget to, but you will always see something somewhere inside these boxes that requires a duplicate kit in order to build it. And as far as I know from what I've seen, you can use this grey section as an arm, and you'll only have 1 inside of the box. This thing is massive. There is a quick comparison with a 1/44th scale Gundam, or a high grade, well, sized Gundams. It's not a high grade, it's a entry grade. So yeah, that is that cannon done. You can have a long version like you're seeing right here, pop that off with the shorter version. You can take this handle off and actually move it up to this segment right here, so it can be held up front. Very similar to what we would have seen with the Estrella. That has a shoulder mounted bazooka, not unlike that. So this right here is what the large cannon looks like once it's complete. Again, this has a real Gundam 00 kind of vibe with it, so I'm gonna have to try it out with a Gundam 00 kit. This has a big shooty end right here. Lots of nice individual details molded all over the surface, and overall this looks ridiculously nice. Of course this can be held whichever way you like. It can be held upside down like so. The handle is up here with a little bit of pivot up top. Like I mentioned, we do have the options of popping this handle off and popping it a little further up, again with that Gundam 00 Gundam Estrella kind of feel. So I don't have any actual 30-minute missions kits today handy for trying this out with, but I'm pretty sure you can see what that looks like in the manual online elsewhere. So I'm going to be trying it out entirely with Gunpla, and because it has that kind of 00 kind of feel to it, I'm going to be starting off with the Exia. Nowadays, when it comes to the compatibility between weapons in hands on 1/44th scale Bandai kits, high grade, entry grade, mainly those ones in 30-minute missions, they all tend to be exactly the same. This is an older kit, the high-grade Exia right here, so it's a little bit of a gamble whether or not it would fit, but, well, thankfully it did. It's not a tight fit, but it's not really a loose fit either. It's just not 100% snug. Throwing that up onto the shoulder, and this fits so perfectly, giving those awesome Gundam Estrella vibes. This matches in very nicely. Of course, it needs a little bit of detailing up to make it match entirely, just to get some of that awesome detail out, but overall this works so well. This looks awesome. I'm going to try it in every different form with the different Gundams, so I'm going to reach for another one, and that's going to be the entry grade La Gundam. So swapping this weapon into the other form is very simple. Just pop it off, pop it in like so. Of course, there's so many different choices out there. Does it actually fit into the top C-clip? It does. So if you want it kind of connected like so, you can do the exact same thing. So many choices, and that's not even including its compatibility with other 30-minute missions parts. Grabbing the entry grade La Gundam, popping out this weapon. I think we're gonna have some trouble. And ooh, not compatible. So yeah, the hands on this do not disassemble which means we can't get around this handle right here. So that means I'm just going to have to hold on to this for the arms later on. Something else is going to have to try this out. So reaching on over to the first thing that was on my left there, and we've got the high-grade Gundam Barbatos. Now this one right here, this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, considering there really isn't any beam weaponry in the Iron-Blooded Orphans universe. Well, there is, but it's not necessarily used because most mobile suits are impervious to it. So this time around, we're going to try to kind of underslung. The hand fits on pretty much perfectly. That's pretty much flush on with the back, and there we go. So the angle, oh no, it's pretty good. It can actually tuck forward, so that seems like it's going to look really, really nice. So yeah, that really doesn't work out the way that I hoped it would. What we get in the end looks like some kind of weird dustbuster or hand vacuum. So I'm actually going to flip it around the right way so we can actually have it like this. Actually, I'm going to be hyper, mega, super lazy and just flip the hand around like so. So just ignore that. Ignore the fact that the hand is upside down. And in general, you get a fairly basic idea of how this works out. Not quite as cool as up on the shoulder, bazooka style. So we've tried the top and bottom handle option, or should I say the front and back. Next up then we've got this attachment point for absolutely lengthening this to a massive size. At this point I think we're going to need to move this up here just for it to make any kind of sense if it's going to be held by any kind of unit. So once again it can go up on the shoulder, be underslung like a massive cannon, attach this around back for an even larger, longer cannon. And yeah, I'm going to once again attempt that underslung look. And this time I'm going to go with the high-grade aerial up in the air. It might make a little bit more visual sense to have a massive cannon while in flight. Popping off the hand to see if it fits, and yep, definitely great compatibility across the high-grade line. Not so much entry grade it seems. So that's it held in the hand, and this looks like it's going to look pretty damn awesome. So finally there it is attached onto the aerial, and this gels on so perfectly. A big old heavy weapon underneath the arm just like so won't get in the way of the Mirror Soul flight pack around back. It works so nicely. The only real letdown with this is the handle does have a lot of hollow parts in it, which could look a little bit more premium, but the unit itself looks insane. And that isn't all that this can do. I will be coming back to this in a little while when we get the arms attached, because there's one incredibly cool thing that we can do with this, but for now let's move on to the arms. So next up in here we've got what makes this the large arm unit. We've got two of these, thankfully. It's not one of those buy two to get two arms that you only get one in the box. You do get the two in here. These build up super simply. We've got two halves to each element in here besides the shoulder, which has a very nice arrangement of joints inside of it to make sure you can get a lot of range of motion out of these, even though they are ridiculously ridiculous. All the different individual elements from there on down, these can be used of course as adapters when not being used as arms, all C-clip joints by the way, and finally we do have hands in here, and we have a multitude, so we've got two fists, two widespread open, and they just assemble as simple as that right there. The final assembly then just involves some C-clips connecting together just like so. So there is the first joint, the next one, so this has multiple points of bending, so not just a single elbow. The shoulder then just attaches up top, so your standard 30-minute missions ball joint up top, which may work on Gunpla as well, at least some Gunpla. And finally then in here we've got the hand. Ooh, can't be forgetting that wrist. So the wrist is a combination of a C-clip right there and a ball joint attaches in like so. So this is the left arm, so the shoulder needs to rotate around like so. And that is what the finished arm looks like. Looking pretty cool. I will mention this does look a little bit plain, mainly just because it is in a single shade of white. But if you paint up some of the details on this, it will definitely look a lot more detailed. It really is the color, or the single color, that's doing it dirty right here. So yeah, that right there is what the complete arm looks like. And this, like I mentioned, is incredibly detailed. The white color does kind of drown out some of the detail on it, so you do miss out on it. But get some nice contrasting light onto it, and you can see that there's so much going on. We've got the 3mm holes as usual. Every aspect of this is a C-clip to C-clip adapter, so it can be used in a whole lot of different ways, and the articulation on here is incredibly unique. Let's get it attached onto something. So seeing as the La Gundam right here never got to actually hold onto that weapon, let's see if an entry grade, or at least this entry grade, is off. This isn't compatible with anything. Yeah, that's not gonna work out. I'm gonna have to grab another high grade. Alright, so I'm gonna try it with the aerial rebuild. So popping off both of the arms just like so. So these are a newer style shoulder joint, so these do not have polycaps in them, so it means they're a little less able to flex. So let's see, can it fit? Oh, kind of pulled out quite easily, but yeah. So yeah, these definitely do fit. There is a little bit of awkwardness with them kind of leveraging themselves off. And mainly I found that was with the backpack, so I did remove that just to attach them. Once that was out of the way, it seems to work out quite well. This looks absolutely ridiculous. Of course, the 30-minute mission style sometimes doesn't really gel too well with Gunpla. It's a lot more geometric, squared off with a lot of over-the-top kind of detail that's kind of there just for detail's sake. So that does kind of make it not meld entirely, but still it is like, I don't know, it's like a hilarious Gundam Aerial rebuild Titus. But how about the articulation? So the actual articulation on the arms themselves is incredibly good. So you will get some nice crazy poses out of them. Once I actually did remove that backpack, they're not really getting leveraged off the Gundam so often. Actually, it hasn't happened once. So it was just the kind of backpack getting in the way. These are, well, there it goes. But that happens to me every now and then with these Witch from Mercury kits anyway. These are ridiculous. Again, they do look plain out of box, but that is usually the case with these kind of parts. They are for customizing and detailing up. So I'll just pop these on and we'll get the aerial in a little bit of a pose. So there's a quick spin of what the aerial rebuild looks like with these arms attached. This is absolutely ridiculous. The hands are very nicely sculpted. We do have fists in here too. The only thing that I feel doesn't truly gel is, would be nice if you did have some matched blue on here as well, but that is the whole purpose here. These are for customs and crazy over-the-top customs at that. So as is always the case when it comes to these 30-minute missions kits, this just gets crazier and crazier and crazier. So what we can actually do here is pop off the hand. Then if we actually grab the big old cannon section right here, remove these white segments that were on either side of it, you can now slot that onto the arm just like so. Replacing the white segments at a little bit of a different angle locks that all together, and you get this massive arm cannon, which is off the charts awesome, adding a little bit of Mega Man to your 30-minute missions or your Gunpla. That is over the top cool looking. I love this to bits. This right here, once again, is your reason to maybe get two of these if you want to dual wield these kind of weapons, or even make backpack mounted arm cannons out of them. And pretty much basically everything we've seen so far counts too. So you can just pop on the long cannon segment for something that looks a little bit like that right there. So an absolutely ridiculously long arm cannon. And if you want to bring this to the absolute next level of crazy, and this is definitely why you will be wanting two of these kits. At least now I want a second one because of this. And that is, instead the usual ball joint onto the fist, we've now got this 3mm peg. And that means you can attach that on into the end. So now you've just got an absolutely massive, super long arm. That looks both ridiculous and awesome, all at the same time. I don't even know what to say. Of course, you could use this hand as well, but you'd have to swap out that ball joint. That is nuts. Last up then, we've got the heads. Now these put together super simply. It's two parts together like so, and we do have two of them. And you may actually recognize these if you've been collecting 30-minute missions for a while. These are the standard heads from inside one of these kits right here. These are basically a kind of head kit where you can add on a bunch of bits, but you'll, well, get a lot of bits, but only the one head in there. So that means you've got two in here for using with those. The last bit then we've got is this little bit of a face mask section, which can attach onto one of these, or the grey versions that are available sold separately that I just spoke about. So that just pops on just like so, and that is what the head looks like. So the head is super simple. I don't know if they actually are compatible or not. I assume Bandai is keeping everything compatible across the board now. So let's try attaching it on, and yes, indeed it does fit. So there is the simple version of the head. That is what it looks like, making the area look almost alien like that right there. That is what the detail in there looks like. And of course, this is compatible with all the different head aspects that are out there from the 30-minute missions line. And finally, then we have the one with the gray segment on the front, which attaches on just like so for a little bit of a darker look. And that right there is what we get. This doesn't even look like Aerial anymore. So anyway, that right there is it for the review. What can I say? These 30-minute missions kits are just over the top when it comes to mecha designs. The fact that there's going to be Armored Core coming out sometime in future on top of it all makes these ridiculously awesome. So if you're looking for any of your own, I'll throw a general link to pretty much everything Hobby Link Japan has down there in the description so you can check those out because they are so much mecha fun. As always, this video right here would not have been possible without each and every single one of you guys who watches my videos and all of these awesome people right here who help out on the channel memberships and over on Patreon, including 10 Soldier YT, Abraxas, Caleb Engelhart, Dashel Marmion, Golel Rockstar, Joe, Lauren Seahack, or G95061, 10 Soldier YT again, and Van Fawn.